It's gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stolen base, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. Hello everyone, welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for this edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. Fall season's over. 2025 is right around the corner. I said that. Yes, but it is. Tournaments are being posted as we speak up on the website, game7baseball.com. If you're looking, at what your schedule's going to be like, you're starting to look at the meetings, when you take it and go in and talk to everybody and whatnot, check out game7baseball.com. A lot of great stuff. I believe they already have the Ballparks of America tournaments up on the site, so that's always a great one early in the season. Turf down there. I think it gets a little warmer in Springfield, maybe, than up here. So those things are getting up on there quick. We also have our Super 7 Invitational coming up this year, end of May. It's May 30th through June 1st. We're sending out invitations. Looking forward to that, getting that going as well. Going to have a lot of fun. Our Super Series event, we've got, we'll still be giving away we'll be announcing that award, our Super 7 Scholarship Award for the 2024 recipient here soon. And awarding that, we always enjoy giving that out to our student athletes. Got the 2025 class coming up for the 14U Super 7 Scholarship Award. It goes to our top award and POG recipients. They get a chance to enter for that scholarship award. We're giving away $1,000 this year. Maybe we'll get a little more next year. You never know. Could grow. If you're interested in supporting this scholarship and you're a business out there and want to, give us a call. Talk to either Dave Penning or Dave Schmidt or myself, and we'd be happy to have your support for this scholarship award. Thanks to game7baseball.com. Go check that out. Get yourself going. Today on the show, I'm flying solo. Mr. Mulder couldn't make it today. So we are talking about the Saint Louis Suburban Conference. I've been talking about this. I think there is, I got to be careful because I think there's some, but we're looking at this kind of Power 5 conferences within the state of Missouri. Started with the GAC last week. We're in the St. Louis Suburban. Next week, we will be in the Kansas City Suburban Conference. Hopefully, maybe I can get the Blue Springs State Championship head coach Tim McElliott on the show. Maybe get him come in and chat with us about the Kansas City Suburban. Maybe next time we'll do that. Get a little more glimpse of that. But today we're just going to talk about some players around the area. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, folks, we're here to talk about the St. Louis Suburban Conference. I am joined here today, stepping in here for the guru, Kevin Mulder, is our good friend from the Webster Groves, second place, state second place. I didn't say that well at all, did I?
It's okay. You just say runner-up. State runner-up.
Class 5, Misha, state second place finisher from 2024. There it is.
Yep.
I knew I'd spit it out in a minute. Hit me in the back of the head.
Oh, you're good.
Webster Groves, head coach Dave Wiggins. Dave, appreciate you jumping in here. I called him honestly last minute, folks. I appreciate him doing this. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
And but it's a good opportunity, you know. I'm thinking about it now. I love the fact that you're here. We're talking about the St. Louis Suburban Conference. You know, I want to ask your opinion. You know, because I'm kind of doing this. I started looking when I started thinking about doing this, Dave. And I think there is kind of a power five in this state. GAC, the St. Louis Suburban. You have the Kansas City Suburban on that side, and now the newly minted big conference down in the Southwest with the COC, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, we know all about them.
Right. That is there are 14 teams in that. They're really, it's loaded. So I think you're kind of seeing some balance across the state with these five conferences. No, that's four. And I was admonished by Kevin last week when I said those four, and he says you can't leave the MCC out of
Leave
that.
the MCC out, right? Although, boy, I would love to. I'm just kidding.
Oh, mercy.
So,
I love it. So, you know, I think it's an interesting thing that way. So we're taking a look at across the state. I know there's some other schools within other conferences, but up and down, these conferences just have really good teams across
yes,
the board.
they do. Absolutely.
So we're gonna
We'll
go
do the
ahead.
star. They're and the cool thing about the Suburban Conference is you have tiers, right? Obviously, you have the yellow pool, you have the red pool, the green and the blue pool, and we talked last year where the yellow pool is considered the highest level, and red is second. But we all believed in the red conference that we could compete with a lot of those yellow school teams, and just going through our all conference nominations last year and talking about some of the players. Just unbelievable talent in the Suburban, regardless of the pool, really.
I agree. And I think that's the same when you start looking at the GAC, when you start looking at the KC Suburban. I think
Oh
you
yeah,
have a lot of that same thought process.
for sure.
So here we go, 2025 class. We're going to start with Adam Kilburn, Oakville. He's at number 14 in the PBR rankings. I know that doesn't mean a lot to everybody and whatnot, but it's kind of, it gives you an idea of, you know, what they're thought of in the state. And Kilburn this young man is committed to Tennessee. I think he was hurt last year, correct?
He came back off Tommy John last year. So his sophomore year, he was out. He came back pretty strong his junior year. Had his first outing early on in the season, and just built off it. Built off it from there. The fastball's back in the low nines. The command has always been pretty darn good from him, and he just gets on the mound and he competes. And yeah, I think they let him swing it too. I could be wrong, but obviously he's going to Tennessee as a power arm.
And you guys, this is in your pool. It's in the red pool.
Yeah.
Oakville was 17-12 last year, 4-3 in the conference. Where do you see them coming this year?
Oh, they're good. They didn't graduate a ton, really. CJ Lake, Adam Kilburn, Aiden Zanley, those three are still there. Workowich is still there. He's a 25 lefty who's going to Lindenwood. Lake can run it up over 90. So you're looking at three guys. Gabe Hulsing, another 25 who's uncommitted, who's a upper 80s into the low 90s lefty. You're looking at four guys on that staff that can touch a nine. And Zanley can't be far away. Big left-handed pitcher as well. Yeah, I'm sure they have some younger talent coming up that no one's quite gotten to see yet.
Mm-hmm.
But pitching, I know when I'm game planning for them, I can't hope that, hey, I hope I don't see Adam. I hope I don't see Aiden. I hope I don't see Jack. I hope I don't see Gabe. I'm going to see one of them, it's crazy, like we went through it last year. It's like, I wonder who Richie's going to throw at us today, and it's going to be a dude, and runs are going to come at a premium. And those guys, Zanley, Lake, Hulsing, two-way talents too at the high school level. Yeah, they're gonna hit in the middle of the order. They're gonna swing it with power. Um, they are. I don't see them going 4-3 this year in conference. I don't. I think they're going to be, if they could stay healthy, I think they can make a run. They're a very good team.
We saw Zanley at the fall games in Columbia, and he looked really good there. So
Yeah,
with PBR. So
yeah.
and Kilburn's one of those guys. I think he's got coming back from that injury. He's full strength at this point. He's more than a year away from that injury. That's going to
Oh,
be a
sure.
tough guy.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
He'll be significantly improved this spring because he'll be beyond a year off TJ. Where the guys, they're usually not as great that first year. So
yeah. Second up here in at number 20 from Lafayette, going to Missouri State. One of my favorites. I really enjoy watching Michael Callahan play. This guy's got speed. He's got tools. He can throw. He can run. He can hit. This is a young man that coming off, they finished second last year in Class 6. I think it'll be interesting to see, where his leadership is with some of those young guys coming up and what they can do.
yeah, they graduated some senior leaders with those two dudes up the middle, Pratt and Gebhard. There's a couple other guys that come to mind. But Callahan, he's going to drive that offense. He drove that offense last year. And, the way Coach DuPont runs it, where you got a guy like Michael who can hit a double or a home run, but he can also bunt for a hit. He can move a runner. He's going to get on base. He's going to run at some point. He's going to steal. He's one of those guys who's like, it doesn't matter how good the battery is. I'm faster, and I'm going to push the envelope. Elite defender in the outfield. Elite defender in the outfield. I watched quite a few of their games, whether it was on video or just in person, and seeing him go get the baseball. It's special. And I saw him when he was 14. He was playing shortstop for a Gators team, and I was impressed. I'm like, who the heck is that? And sure enough, here he is. A few years later, a Division I prospect who's probably it could be the best center fielder in the class. So
That's fair.
He's gonna, yeah, but he's got some big shoes to fill in terms of leadership with those seniors from last year and how they ran Coach DuPont's system. And I know when we played them, Michael was definitely the feared hitter in their lineup, and we were trying to find ways to keep him off base. And those guys are tough because it's not hey, we don't want him to hit a double. No, we can't walk him, we can't hit him, we can't let the dude get on, because the moment he's on, it's a double or a triple. And those guys are tough to game plan against.
I think it's one of the toughest things for a young pitcher to really learn how to do is give your catcher a chance to throw a guy out.
Absolutely. Yes. And most catchers at the high school level, they need help from their pitchers. We were fortunate a few years back having Williams era where we would tell our pitchers, hey, be a little slow to the plate just to entice these guys to run, because no one wants to run on them. And we want William to throw guys out. We don't want that. We don't want that guy back there just sitting back there like, man, I wish they would run. So, hey, let's, you can be a 1-4, 1-5 to home, and William's still going to get them. But, when you've got a runner like Michael on base, now the pitchers, he's abbreviating his delivery. Yeah, and I train pitchers for a living. A lot of those guys in their bullpens, they're not throwing their pens thinking about having runners on. They're not throwing their pens thinking about, I got to be a 1-2 to get this ball to home plate, and I've got to throw a competitive pitch. And when you got a guy like that, now the pitchers, everyone's tightening up. The infield's getting a little bit tense. The catcher's thinking, man, I got to catch this ball and make a throw. So the receiving might not be as sharp. It adds an element that a lot of high school teams struggle with.
I love that. That's great information. See?
Yeah.
Look at that. Let's move on to the next guy here. This is a young man. I've heard the name, haven't seen. I don't get to see as much about Seckman. They're always right there in the mix. They play well. There's, they just kind of seem to be there every year. But at number 22 is Ryan Bradford.
Yeah, he put up video game numbers last year.
Did he really?
Oh my goodness. I love Kevin and PBR and everything they do. He's not ranked highly enough. The dude's a freak. He is fast. He has goose. He's amazing in the outfield. He's your typical Seckman ball player, blue collar guy, plays with his hair on fire. Are you looking at his numbers? Is that why you're
He ain't lying, folks. Okay, wait a minute. I'm on STL. He hit 489 with. Listen, folks. This is what is it? 90 at bats, 118 plate appearances. He hit 489, slugged 900. That's 8 home runs. Oh my gosh, Dave.
a 900 OPS guy is a good hitter in high school, and this dude's slugging was 900. Like, that's insane. I mean, the OBP had to be in the 5s or 6s, right? What was the OBP?
Yeah. He was 603. So
You're talking about a 1700 OPS player. It's ridiculous.
that is video game numbers.
Yes, it's at the varsity level against really good pitchers. Bradford didn't care. Like, he's just going to go out there and hurt you. He drove the Seckman offense, and they had some big bats in their lineup. But that dude there, like, we went into the game against them with our ace on the mound, and we're like, we can't let this guy hurt us, but he's probably going to hurt us because he's just that good.
Did you just go like this?
We did a few times. We actually did a few times. We actually did, but we did let him swing it a couple times, and we probably shouldn't have let him. I think he dropped a bomb to right center off us. Hit a couple balls hard. He made a catch last year at Francis Howell that, if you could find the video, he was in center. He tripped on the beautiful outfield terrain that is Francis Howell's outfield, and made a one-handed, barehanded catch, like, across his body on a fly ball.
Oh, you're kidding.
I'm dead serious. Yeah. Elite athlete. Absolute stud. Kansas State has got a baller in Ryan Bradford. Pretty sure he won our conference player of the year, and he was up against some very good players as well. But no, there was no one more deserving than him. So number 22 in the 25 class, I think that could easily go up.
Very good. Number 23, a young man that's really made some bones last year. Nobody really I thought he came out of nowhere. First time I heard about him, I was watching him pitch. We were over there kind of getting set up to do a live stream for Parkway South. And Luke Sullivan was on the mound. And this young man can pitch.
Oh, flat out pitch. When you're in his staff with Brady Kellenbrink, obviously you're going to be overshadowed a little bit, especially your class behind. But another kid I saw when he was 14 years old was like 80, 82, but long, loose, threw a ton of strikes, which we know 14-year-olds don't usually do. Just pounded the strike zone with 2 to 3 pitches. And then we had the misfortune of having to face him last year at their place, and he was lights out. 86, 88, top 89, 90, just put away stuff. Great command. We lucked into a win there. Our guy Wilhelm threw just as good a game, and we didn't really get the win off of Luke. We got it after he came out. But my goodness, very, very impressed with him, and was surprised it took so long for him to kind of get that Division I attention, because we've known for a while it's a D1 arm, just the makeup, the size, and I think the added velocity this last year and into the summer. I think Mizzou saw it and was like, okay, it's time to go. Like, this is a kid that we need to jump on. A very, very good pitcher, could easily be the best pitcher in our conference again this year. And that's hard, going up against Adam, going up against Jack, there's some really good Mason, some really good pitchers in the Suburban, but Luke's right up there at the top.
Well, speaking of Mason, Mr. Lee is at number 5. He's the 46 from Pattonville. There it is. See those names right there. And we saw Mason Lee a couple years ago. He was we did St. Charles West. And this young man is very good. We got a chance to see him live that way. Pattonville's another one that's kind of right there. I don't think people have talked about him enough right now. I think they're in that place where I don't think they're gonna sneak up on the general public, but I don't think they're gonna sneak up on anybody this year.
Yeah. They've got some younger talent that we that we ran into last year. We some guys we just hadn't heard of, freshmen or sophomores. Um, Obviously, Mason's the name there. Aside from being their ace lefty on the bump, hits in the middle of their order. Um, just an outstanding high school player for his 3 years so far there. It was funny. I played men's league ball against his dad for years, and when Mason was 13, I was talking to his dad, telling him how nice the real estate was in Webster, and that we had a short porch in right field, and we had a pretty quick pathway to get on that varsity team at Webster as well. See, I was kind of lightly recruiting there, if you want to say that. Um, but in the first 2 years of his high school career, he was injured or sick, so we didn't get to play him. But we did get to play him last year, his junior year. Unfortunately, we didn't get to face him on the mound, so we love a good challenge. But just a dynamic player for them, one of the better players to come through that high school. Um, Not going to Arkansas State anymore, going to Bradley, and he's going to pitch only for Bradley. So he's going to be in the in the Missouri Valley, um, close to home. That way, Dad and Mom can go watch him pitch. But yeah, we mentioned five. Like there's 10 to 15 more that could easily come to mind. And I mean, these five are elite, and they're poised for big senior years.
And that's what we did. We just kind of pulled the top five that we saw from each conference within the class, to kind of get
Yeah.
this roll. As you said, there's plenty of other kids we could spend like all day, right?
Oh yeah, and the one thing I could say about Mason, I probably know him the best of all these five, just as a person. He's been the dude at Pattonville since his freshman year. With that, you could be arrogant, you could get a big head, but Mason's an ultimate teammate. He's a great kid. He's a good leader, very confident individual who has quiet confidence. Numerous people I've come across, coaches, parents, nothing but great things to say about Mason and how he carries himself.
We are gonna continue about some other names, but different class. We're gonna do the 2026 top five and the 27 top five. So we're gonna run through these kids here too. So we've got
Cool.
some others, and right at the top, as you were talking about earlier from Oakville, is Mr. CJ Lake, and
There you
you
go.
already kind of expressed that he's at number 7 in his class. That kid is dynamic, though, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Throws hard, hits it hard. Big, strong kid. Another really mild mannered, just good kid, from the interactions I've had with him. Um, Steps right in, and as a sophomore, has some brilliant outings. Pitching in the mid to upper 80s with an improved slider that was really tough. You would assume that he's going to be sitting in that 89, 91 range this year as a junior, just with some added strength and just just being a year older. Not looking forward to facing him. I assume that's probably who Coach Sturm's going to throw at us in that darn tournament, because it seems like he's our draw every every time we're up there. But yeah, he's tough, great competitor, two-way talent, has big pop, pops that showcases, just has light tower power, great arm strength. Um, Nothing. He's a no doubt D1 prospect. He's uncommitted still, but I could see a lot of schools being on him for sure.
Number 9, we talked about Seton Thompson, Ladue. Ladue kind of, I thought, was a little surprised last year, but they've got a
Oh yeah,
lot of talent, and this young man is right in the middle of that, isn't he?
yeah. He'll step in for oh man, the shortstop who went to Maryville, just
Mm.
graduated. My gosh, why can't I remember his name?
I
Kid's a
know
heck
who
of a
you're
ball
talking
player.
about.
Yeah, I know. Will Kunitz. Yeah, he'll
There it
step
is.
in. He'll take the shortstop position, from Will. Uh, it went to the Futures games, and like, he looks great in a uniform. He looks the part. He moves really well. He's smooth on the infield. He's got a smooth swing from the left and right side, which I feel like switch hitters today are kind of a dying breed. Very attractive for coaches. Um, didn't get to really show what he could do last year as a sophomore because he was behind Kunitz. But I think he's going to have a loud spring. Uh, just a very steady defender with a lot more in the bat than I think he's been able to show so far. And I think this spring is where he kind of breaks out with the bat. Um, I've watched the dude play for a number of years now. He's going to drive that offense for sure. He and Freeman at the top will be very, very good. Two dynamic juniors there that are going to drive that offense.
Seton Thompson on his way to Mizzou. Number 14, next kid here in the 26 class, Caden Thornberry, Marquette. Now, Marquette's been down a little bit, so what do you see with this young man? I don't know how much you've seen of Marquette and if you've played them much, but
yeah, we unfortunately haven't. But with me being so in tune with the 26 class, I've known it's actually Thornberry. I'm going to give this kid
I'm sorry.
You're fine. I think it's because of that darn kid show, The Wild Thornberries, where this kid, everybody mispronounces his last name. Thornberry. Obviously the brother of, oh man, gosh. I can't remember his older brother's name. He was a stud. He went to, Penn State. Connor Thornberry went to Penn State. He was a big bat and a big arm for Marquette, and Caden steps up. He's also their starting quarterback, and he's getting a lot of football attention as well. But a pure left-handed hitter. Mizzou loves this kid. They love the bat, the ball skills. There's not a lot of swing and miss. He's big. He's physical. Hit a good number of doubles last year. I think some of those doubles turned into home runs this year with added strength. But it's just a really good bat the ball guy who can flat out hit. And no speed, no moments too big. He's played high-level baseball from the time he was 8-9 years old, played all across the country, played varsity since he was a freshman. That just kind of tells you everything you need to know there. He's without a doubt one of the top players in this class. And, Mizzou's doing a much better job now of keeping this in-state talent. And, he and Seton are two that they they definitely landed.
I agree. They need to. If they can just keep the talent in state, they'll be fine. They can compete in the SEC. I think there's plenty of opportunity. Sorry, young man, about the mistake, that dyslexia. It will slap you at any moment.
You're not the only one, Brian. You're not the only one.
I hate to do that. I really do. That's always been a pain. And it happens from time to time, and I feel bad, so we want to make sure these kids get their names right at least. Yeah. Number 22, young man, Craig Ringy, Eureka. He's a son of a coach, so I think that is always an impactful thing, don't you?
Oh, he plays like the son of a coach. Very heady baseball player. Fantastic base runner. He's got good wheels for a big guy. Just a very heads-up base runner. Played against this kid since he was 12 years old. He's taken numerous bags on us in opportune situations where I'm just kind of pulling my hair out like, what are we doing? Why are we letting Craigie run? Just a really steady ball player. Can play third, can play short, can play the outfield if need be, level swing. Another guy who's played high-level ball for a long time who doesn't seem to be beat by any velocity or spin, just does a really good job of putting the bat on the ball. His flashing power that I think will continue to come. He really hits the ball hard to right center. Does a really good job staying on the ball that way. But a guy that's going to drive Eureka's offense. He's been playing with them. He had some stints as a freshman. He played his entire sophomore year with them. And Eureka, when you're talking about starting at Eureka as a sophomore, that just shows the talent, and not just the talent, but the ability to play at that level mentally and baseball savvy wise, which clearly being the son of Craig Sr. and what Craig has taught him throughout his years is really kind of helped boost him to where he's at.
Kind of reminds you of what Tommy Edman did, right? For
the
Dodgers.
Well, Dave Roberts is smart. He bats the dude who kills lefties in the 4-hole against Sean Manaea, and he pops off,
That was
unbelievable. Nice. Must be nice to have a roster where you can bat Tommy Edman cleanup just out of the blue.
Oh yeah, baby. Number 23, right behind Craig Ringy is Jackson Joggerist Eureka. I've heard about this kid. I haven't seen him. We're gonna have to get down and do a game with Eureka here because this team's always just seem to have guys. They just kind of reload and reload and reload every year.
Their 26 class is really, really deep. They've all played high level ball for a long time. They've got a good 27 class coming up too, and 28. I mean, Eureka's just a baseball perennial powerhouse in my mind. Coach Draghi's got a heck of a staff there this year with joggers. Um, I'm a spelling guy. I'm sorry. There shouldn't be an E in between the R and the S. It's just joggers. Just for,
See, man, I did it again.
I'm sorry. It just I
You're
see it right
fine.
away. Um, good job spelling the first name though. Dang. Whew. A
My bad,
really,
young man.
really no. He's a strike thrower with the fastball. He's fastball heavy, and he's successful being fastball heavy. I think more off speed's going to come, but it's been up to 88, 89, I believe. He's 6'6". You put him and Dylan Curtis next to each other, and they almost look like carbon copies when they stand next to each other. Just tall, long. There's more in the tank. Indiana jumped on it early, and I think they did a great job of grabbing him. High level basketball guy too, which I'm not sure if he's going to keep playing basketball or not. But it has always been kind of hard for him to ramp up safely and the right way for the spring with playing basketball at the varsity level. I think I'm different than some. I for pitchers, especially dudes that are that long and who don't necessarily need cardio to throw harder. I think if he takes the winter and bulks up and gets stronger, and really ramps up for junior year on the mound, I think you could see him running it up into the nines pretty easily, just with the size and how cleanly the ball comes out. He's a really, really good pitcher who's also pitched at a high level since he was 13, 14 years old, beating some really good travel teams, high school teams. Um, yeah, Eureka has like 3 or 4 other dudes on the bump that are going to be tough as well. So,
Well, speaking of 2027, you said that, and right off the right off the bat, number 5 on the PBR list is Carson. I hope I spelt this one right. Luthauser.
you did. Yeah.
Bonus. And just as
Yeah.
you said, you look at 20, to 25, 26, and 27, Eureka's got a top 5, and they've got 4 of the top, 4 kids in those 3 classes in the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Carson, Northwest last year, hit in the middle of their order as a true freshman. Um, he is he's a special talent. It's elite catch and throw behind the dish, but he can also play in the dirt. Like he's really really smooth over on the left side. I know Northwest had Jackson Venata, who's a senior this year. He caught a lot, so Carson played a lot of shortstop for them. Um, plays for a regional Canes team in the summertime that plays a really really good schedule. So he sees high level pitching all the time. Played up with the 26 guys for a while when he was younger. Actually trains with my 26 guys in the off season, and he fits right in. Like you don't look at him, you're like, oh, that kid's a year younger. No, he's got the juice, he's got the makeup. He's an awesome kid. He's very even keeled. I really really like Carson as a person, and as a player, he's in my opinion, he's the best catcher in Missouri in that class. And there's a couple guys that go up there with him, but just I've seen him a lot, and I think he's gonna have a big sophomore year this year. He'll be a little bit more aggressive at the plate this year, where I think just being a freshman on varsity, there's a little timidity there. Whereas I think the rust has been knocked off, and Carson's going to put his name up there with some of the best players in that yellow pool in the Suburban Conference.
There you go. Behind him is at number 15 is Max Jones, another Seckman kid. Here's another young man. Sometimes we may not, he was a freshman last year, may not, depending upon as a sophomore, will they get that opportunity at the varsity level, right?
Yeah, he pitched for Seckman as a freshman for their
There you go.
varsity. He was up to 87, 88 as a freshman. He had a shutdown game. He threw a couple shutdown games against some good teams last year. I don't know too much about Max. What I do know is that it's a high velocity arm. It's a physical kid. Another typical Seckman dude, just goes out there, plays hard. I believe he does hit for them as well. I think it's just a little bit more polished and a little bit further along arm wide on the mound than it is at the plate. But on a staff that was pretty darn good last year for Seckman, he got legitimate innings in meaningful games and pitched really well. He could be an anchor. He could be the one as a sophomore on that staff this year. They graduated some pretty good senior arms last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here comes Lindbergh at number 22, Jack Polite. Another young man following his brother. I remember watching his brother as a senior playing the Final Four. What was that, 2 years ago? Something like that, maybe 3. It's been a
Jack.
minute.
Michael graduated last year, so I want to say, man, it might have been his sophomore year.
Yeah, I think so. It was because they had.
Well, because Michael went to Vianney his freshman year. He either went his freshman and sophomore or just his freshman. I know he was at Lindbergh for sure his junior and senior year.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because Jack and Michael obviously come from the same bloodlines. Their dad is Cliff. Michael, like a super dynamic, quick, just flashy middle infield type with big pop. Jack, from what I saw as a freshman, a little bit more corner guy from what I saw. But I have heard he may move to shortstop at Lindbergh and kind of fill in for his brother, fill in for his footsteps this year. I think those things are still kind of being decided. But once again, you're a freshman and you're in the lineup every day on a Class 6, yellow pool squad. You're doing a lot right. Steady on the mound. I think he was 80, 82 guy, but pitched some meaningful games for them and throws a ton of strikes. Locked down third base for them, hitting their order every day. Just a kid that I think by the time he's a junior or senior, we're going to be talking about him like, oh wow, yeah, this dude is elite. Just a very steady player from what I've seen. I have not seen a whole lot of him, but I know the staff over there pretty well, and they're high on him. They love him. Seems to be a really good fit for what they want to do.
Here's another young guy. A Pattonville kid. I don't know how much you've seen of him. I don't know much about him. He's coming in at number 30, Cameron Crumble.
Yeah, Cam Crumble.
Okay.
When I gave lessons for a while out at LPA, and Cam came in, and I worked with Cam when he was, I think, 13. He was a 7th grader. Dude, I love the way he moves. He has a strong arm. He's another one who I think is just really starting to scratch the surface as to how good he can be. And Pattonville, he's going to get every opportunity this year to show that. He played a lot of games for them as a true freshman. He had some innings on the mound. I think it was in the low 80s. It's probably 83, 84 by now. He's a strong physical kid. He's got a lot of juice in the bat as well. He's going to be one that Pattonville relies on to kind of help Mason, drive that team. Great kid. I like Cam a lot. Worked with him for a little under a year. Humble kid, listens well, very coachable. Interesting to see how he grows and develops, for sure.
Very good. Last but certainly not least, we got to see this young man at the fall games with PBR. He's in at number 38. But Payne Kent from Lafayette. I think this kid I really enjoyed watching him. He's a big physical kid, throws well, pitches well, hits well. I mean, he's one of those guys I think that you could see jump into as a sophomore. I don't know if he got any run last year. I don't remember seeing him for that team, but I think he could be a piece for Coach DuPont.
Yeah, without a doubt. He didn't get any varsity time last year, but once again, they were senior and older class heavy. dude puts on a show in BP from what I've seen, and he doesn't look like a sophomore. Like he's a big, strong kid. He's got a lot of juice. The knock on those kids is, can they hit varsity pitching, right? Because if he can, it's going to produce, right? The bat speed's there, the juice on the ball is there. There's measurables there that stand out right away. It's, can the speed of the game, or is the speed of the game at the varsity level, is it something he can hang with, or is it something that he's going to have to develop into?
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue. I've barely ever seen him. I just see videos of him hitting moonshots at showcases, popping 100+ exits. Very intriguing, absolutely. And Lafayette could use a power bat in the middle of their order. That's something that they, from what I remember, don't really have.
Mm-mm.
And that could be something where, if you got a guy or two bunts who could bunt their way on in front of him, he could get that big hit to drive him in.
They didn't have a power bat other than, well, they had Xander Schmidt last year. But
he was hurt, and he didn't flash the power he did as a junior.
I agree.
Yeah. I mean,
And
Xander, he was a power guy his junior year, and then senior year, that injury, I just think it lingered too long, and he wasn't able to do what he wanted to with his lower half. Callahan's a power bat for a high schooler, but he's so dynamic, it's hard to call that guy a power bat because he does everything.
he's really a gap to gap. He does get it, and he drives the ball very well. When you have a guy that's gap to gap like that and can drive and hit like that, he's going to get some pop. Your slugging is up, and that's the guy you want. He gets a lot and he's a triples guy too.
Oh, absolutely. Any double he hits is a triple just because of his speed.
Right.
I think the Daxton Shock, he's a 25. I think he's a 25. Mm-hmm. He hit 3-hole for them. He was one of their bigger, more extra base heavy guys. So Payne could find himself in the middle of that lineup if he can handle varsity pitching.
Absolutely. And when you talk, and see, I think this is the difference here. We're starting to look at this, and I'm not trying to make something out of nothing. I think this is a valid deal when you talk about Power 5. You look at a conference up and down when you look at the yellow, red, even down, I think it's the green pool, right? That's next. Yeah. There's teams there. Up and down, you got to face guys that throw mid, and then you get into the upper 80s and touching low 90s. And you got a conference that's like that, period. You're dealing with, you got to play at a very high level. And I think that's what separates these conferences from some of the other conferences.
Yeah.
Agreed?
Without a doubt. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about, in Payne's case, a true sophomore who's going to have to be able to, every guy they face in their conference, in the yellow pool, I mean, probably the average velocity is going to be 85. 5-6 years ago, the average velo in one of the bigger conferences in Missouri was probably in the low 80s, even upper 70s. So you're just seeing velocities trend up more and more and more. The spin on the ball, the breaking stuff, sharper and sharper. It's harder to be a hitter, but at the same time, it's harder to be a pitcher because now all these guys do is train velocity. They get on the machine at 95 plus and they train it. Where sometimes you bring that dude in who's 70 to 73 and is 85% off speed, and he can get through the lineup one time because they don't see it as much anymore.
Everybody's spinning into the ground.
Right, exactly. I'm notorious for that at Webster, man. I had a dude come in against you. We threw Jojo Ruziska, who's at Belmont. He's an easy 90 guy. We threw him for 5 or 6 innings against Eureka, and then we brought in our righty curveball specialist Shane McIntyre, and we threw 28 curveballs in a row because we're just like, hey man, it's his best pitch, and they haven't seen this for 6 innings, and he was able to get us through an inning and a half doing that. So I think you're going to see more and more of that as these hitters get tuned up for velo, where you're going to see some of the lower velo guys have more success as long as they're able to kind of nibble around the zone and not miss middle. Lindenwood's got a right-handed pitcher who throws from down below his hip, who's like 80 to 82, Easton Rakers, and he gets guys out in the OVC. So, there's still a place for those guys if they can actually pitch.
Yeah. So talk to us, just in an early stage here, looking at these players and whatnot. I mean, in the yellow, I think who do you see coming out? Who do you see at the top of that right now?
That's tough. Eureka right now is probably my favorite.
I agree.
Um, they're deep. They're
Yeah.
so deep. They're deep on the mound. They're deep positionally. They got dudes who've played ball at a high level for a long time, and they played together for a long time. And there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, obviously, with our run last year, like I had 13 guys who played together since they were 8 years old. And that's special. And when you can get that on the field at the varsity level, obviously Lafayette's always going to be in there, just the way they're coached and the way they play the game. They're always going to be tough to beat because they're going to put pressure on you. They're going to make you make plays. You're going to have to be perfect. You can't put them on base. You Their pitching staff is stout. They throw a ton of strikes and they use their defense. It will be interesting to see if the middle of their infield is as good as Pratt and Gebhard. CJ Campbell, he's probably going to take that shortstop spot, and he's a real smooth infielder who played second for them. So you never want to count Lafayette out. Yellow pool. Yeah, well, let's go over yellow. We have Lafayette. We have Kirkwood's in red now. I don't know if you knew that.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I saw that
Kirkwood's in
move.
red. Yeah, so you have Lafayette, you have Eureka, you have Parkway West, which I don't know a ton of. I never get to play them. I'm trying to play them this year, Coach Jed. If you hear that, give me up. Um, Obviously Marquette. Marquette's going to be tough with Throneberry in the lineup. They got that sophomore Andrew Oldham who played varsity last year, catcher, and then they got Keller Costello on the mound and at the plate, who's also good. Um, Trying to think, yellow. Summit's yellow. Summit's always good. You can't count Summit out.
No.
You those two juniors on the infield that have played since they were freshmen. They've always got a good team. Coach Snyder always has those boys coached up. Um, they got a couple lefties on the bump that I really like. But yeah, I just think Eureka is probably the favorite. But that never really means anything until you get on the field and play the game. That ultimately that's what it is.
Exactly. I mean, I think Oakville is with the pitching at the top of the red pool. I think that's going to be a tough one for everybody to deal with.
I would
Again,
agree with you. Yeah,
you
I
know,
would agree with you.
you got to get,
Absolutely.
you got to get on the field as you said, and I agree. Uh,
Yeah.
but on paper,
Don't count Seckman out. Seckman's always tough. I mean, dude, Parkway South too. I mean, you can't.
right?
You have three, and I love my school, right? And I think we're always going to be in the mix, but you have three in that conference that are going to be really, really tough to beat. Oakville is going to be really tough to beat. It's going to be hard to score runs against Oakville. It's going to be hard to score runs. It's going to be hard to score runs off of Luke Sullivan if he pitches. It's going to be hard to score runs off Max Jones if he throws for Seckman. And Seckman's offense is always power. And I may be a little partial, but I'd take the red pool over the yellow pool if I'd do it, man. I think it'd be really cool if we had battle of the conferences where you had like a red versus yellow and a green versus blue type thing. It'd be kind of interesting, but that's just me throwing it out there.
There you go. Hey, then if you're looking at this, then there's Ladue. Parkway Central's always tough.
Yeah, absolutely. They always find a way.
Right there. The two guys at the bottom of the conference, Hazelwood West, they had 8 wins, and Northwest, had 7 wins overall. Nobody was just horrible. It was nobody just. You got to go compete in this in the red, yellow, blue pool. You got to go compete, right?
Northwest is always going to give you a tough game. They're always going to play hard. They've always got a couple guys no one really knows about who have great high school seasons who tear it up. You've got Hazelwood West, which I think the coaches there are doing a fantastic job. They don't have a ton of resources and they're doing everything they can to get those boys on the field and get them playing ball. They've got some talented players in that program as well. I do think, and I could be wrong, I think Ladue moved down this year and Kirkwood took their spot. If
I
they
do
did,
think
Ladue is going to run that conference because they may be better now than they have been in the past. But you can't know that 3 years ago, right? If you're trying to come up with a conference that you're a good fit for, a good spot for, you don't know that you have guys coming up that could be that dynamic. But then, obviously Kirkwood, they're always good. They're a Class 6 school. They've always got depth. They got a new coaching staff who seems to really have these kids fired up to be playing ball. They got their new field. They're going to step right in, and they're going to give us all a run for our money in the red conference. And they're hungry because we've been stuck in yellow. We're going to come down to red, and we're going to give these guys fits. So
I'm going to tell you right now, because I had this all, and when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, because I saw this because I went looking. The red, yes, Kirkwood is up, and Ladue is in the green pool.
Yeah, man, I just think Ladue is. I think Ladue could go undefeated in that pool, and I'm not saying anything crazy, but it'll be them in Pattonville. They'll go head to head. Melville, depending on what Melville has, they always play tough. But you just have some schools that Ladue probably isn't used to playing that they're going to end up playing, where it's like, man, maybe we should get back up in that red pool by the time Sumo and Seton and Dev are seniors. So I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Fox is in that. Fox had a good year last year from the green pool.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Fox is in there. Yeah, I forgot about Fox. They got a good 25 class too. They have a good senior class that played really well last year's juniors and almost gave Seckman that loss in districts. That was crazy. That was
right. So I don't think it's far off. With Ladue.
No.
Pattonville, as you said, Melville has some guy. Jace Mayberry is down there.
Yeah.
You got and Fox. I think it's going to be an interesting. That'll be again. I think it's very competitive in that respect.
It's just as you go down in tiers, it's just a question of the depth of the roster. The yellow teams have tons of depth. They're mostly Class 6 schools outside of Summit. The red teams have a little less depth. And then you go to green and there's a little less depth. Every school is going to have those impact players that can compete at any level against any team. It's just how many of those guys do you have? Our 7, 8, 9 guys that would be JV dudes on a red or yellow roster. And that's kind of where I think those tiers kind of break down.
Agreed. I agree. Folks, everybody, thanks to head coach Webster Groves, Dave Wiggins, for joining us, dropping some knowledge. Love it.
I try. I got to know my competition. That's what I always say. I got to know my competition as well as humanly possible.
Well, he stepped in here for the guru today and took the part. You took the part of the guru, bro.
Well, I appreciate that. I can't compare to Kevin, but I'll assume the mantle for these next couple minutes.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. There you go. Quick look at the Suburban St. Louis Conference. We appreciate everybody too. If you like what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button down there. We got a lot of good stuff going on. We're hoping, Dave, we got to get out and finish talking about this, but we're hoping to, on those Friday nights, bring out the cameras. And as I know, we're going to have the you guys with Kirkwood out there in April. At Baldwin.
They moved it way up. It's early April. It's April 4th.
Yes, I know. That was because you guys were like the third week in April the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, it was usually that last Friday in April. And they moved us up. And we both decided, even though we have nice fields now, we both decided it makes more sense to play that game at Baldwin at a neutral site under the lights. It's just the kids all look forward to it. And I think last year, unfortunately, we had to play that game at our place because of rain and the luster, the star appeal the boys feel is just not quite there if you're not at Baldwin under the lights.
I agree. So we're hoping to cover a lot of the St. Louis Suburban on those 6 weeks 5 weeks, whatever Baldwin does there with that. So little extra added layer. We do the GAC. We got the Suburban St. Louis, and I think 2 great conferences in the St. Louis area. We Coach Horn, Coach Canavan. No offense, guys.
I will personally say I love that you've made an effort to start including the Suburban. You guys do such a great job with the GAC because you're out that way and you know that conference so well, and just the effort you're making to include the Suburban, which has a ton of kids, who and families who listen to the podcast. I think it's great. And if you wanted to get the MCC involved, I could definitely help with that. Knowing Coach Stewart and Horn and those guys, I'm sure they would be happy to step in and chat MCC because holy moly, that's a loaded conference every year. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who graduated, who's coming up. It's always loaded.
And Coach Horn's always playing it down. He's like, I don't know, man. We may not have anybody this year.
Right, exactly.
I love it, man. It's like, okay, Coach, thanks. Oh, it's fun. Hey, man, always a pleasure talking with Dave here. Look forward to seeing you throughout the winter workout tour. I'm sure we'll catch up some. And good luck to you this year. Oh, we ran into one of your dudes at the Missouri. We were at the Missouri American Legion Conference. We were talking Missouri American Legion baseball. Asher was there playing soccer for Webster Groves.
Yeah, Asher Rata. All right.
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, multi-sport stud, man. That kid he's a fun kid to coach. I don't think he's ever frowned. Like he's smiling. He plays fast. A big reason why he played a ton of varsity baseball for us last year is we just loved how he approached the game. He just went head on. He went after it. We want guys who are going to go out there and try to make something happen. And I know that's how he plays soccer too. So that's cool. Shout out to Asher.
He's just a fun kid to talk to. Seems very pleasant, very nice, very genuine when he talks to you. I really enjoy that conversation. So fantastic, folks. Thanks again. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the dinger next to it. That gets you notifications. It's not a home run, it's notifications, but it's just as good. So we appreciate that. Until next time, everybody, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, Dave, give them some advice.
Throw strikes.
Hitters, do the best. I love it. We'll see y'all next time.